All right, in this video, we're just doing some more practice of working backwards, similar to what we were doing in the previous videos. So again, this is a chance for you to practice. So I recommend pausing the video, trying the example, and then watching the answer to see if things match up. So try the first example on your own first, and then come back and see if we agree. So first, let's see if our picture matches. So the mean is 73, so that's where I put the center of my picture at. We're asked to find the 97th percentile, which means that 97% of the scores will be below it. Again, for a reference point, 73 would be the 50th percentile because half of the students would score less than that. So the 97th percentile would have to be bigger than the 50th percentile. So what I now know is that my z is going to be a positive value when I go to the table. Next, you want to figure out what value to go to the table with, and then actually find the corresponding z. So since we're looking for everything to the left of the question mark, that is the 97%, or in decimal form, or 0.9700. Looking for the closest thing on the inside of the table to that, the closest thing we should find is this 0.9699. Now seeing what row and what column that corresponds to gives us a z of positive 1.88. Now we just want to plug that value into our formula. Recall that our formula that would be given to you on a formula sheet is that y is equal to z times sigma plus mu. So now doing our math, our z is the 1.88 that we found. The standard deviation was that second number given to us up here in the problem, and the mean, of course, was 73. Doing the math, we get 73.68 points for our answer. The last thing we want to do is interpret this value. So then I could say that 97% of my Stat 205 students scored less than 93.68 points on exam 1, because that 97% is below or less than that value. Go ahead and try the next question on your own. So first, let's see if our picture matches. So the mean is $156,000. We're asked to find the top 1%. So the top would mean that we're going to be looking for the right-hand side being 1%. Again, 156,000 would be the top 50%. So the top 1% is going to be quite far away from that. 1% in decimal form is 0.01. Our goal is to find that number along the bottom. So what we can tell, our answer should be higher than $156,000 when we're done. I can also tell that my z-score should be positive. Next, we want to figure out what number to go to the table with in order to find our z-score, and then find our z. So we should end up going to the table looking for 0.9900, because remember, the table always reads left. So how much is to the left of my question mark is actually 0.99, since there's 0.01 above it. Looking for that value in the table, we're looking again for the closest thing to 0.9900 that we can find. The closest thing we find is this 0.9901, which corresponds to a z of positive 2.33. Now we just need to plug that number into our formula to get our answer, and then also go ahead and try to interpret this one on your own. Doing our math of plugging in our standard deviation and the mean with our z-score, we should get $210,988. Since it asked for the top 1%, I'm going to interpret this in terms of the 1%. So this would mean that 1% of houses in this town have a value that is more than or higher than our $210,988. Finally, go ahead and try part B on your own as well. So let's first see if our picture agrees. So the mean again is $156,000. This time we're asked to find the middle 80%. So this time I'm going to have two question marks along the bottom with 80% or 0.80 between them. I went ahead and completed my picture. So there's 80% between those two values. That leaves me 20% left over to split up between these two sides. So there's going to be 10% or 0.10 on either side. Again, our next goal is to figure out the number to go to the table with to help us find our z-score. So I should be looking for 0.1000 because that's everything that's to the left of this question mark. What I found in the table was positive 0.1003, which corresponded to a z of negative 1.28. Again, I knew my z should be negative since I was below the mean. Here's my closest thing to that 0.1000 that I found, corresponding to that z of negative 1.28. Now I can go ahead and plug that number into my y equals formula. And so for this value, I got $125,792. Now I want to do the same thing to help me find question mark B. However, recall for this one, there's technically two different ways to help me find my z-score. The first way would be to look at how much is to the left of this question mark, which would be that 0.8 plus that 0.1, which would have me look for 0.9000. The other way is to remember that these two values for my z-scores are going to be the exact same, where one of them is negative and one of them is positive. So I would actually already know that my z-score should be a positive 1.28 for this value. However, if you're ever unsure, we can always go to the table looking for our values. So again, I have that 0.8 plus that 0.1 that I've got to look for. So I look for 0.9000. My z-score this time I know will be positive since I'm to the above or to the right of the mean. Finding our closest thing that we can, we're going to find 0.8997, which then corresponds to a z of positive 1.28, just as I knew it should already be. So then we're just going to plug that value in for our z this time. And we get $186,208. Just the last thing we need to do is interpret. So this time I would say that the middle 80% of houses in this town have values between my two numbers, so $125,792 and $186,208. At this point, you have technically learned everything inside this module. One thing that we may struggle with is knowing when to use which technique that we've talked about thus far. So the last thing we have is a big example that puts all the different types of problems together and gives you a chance to work them and see if you're right as you go.